Good evening and welcome, everyone. I'm Joel Aalberts. I'm the Executive Director here at the Lensic Performing Arts Center. We're so happy that you can join us this evening for this special conversation with the members of Kodo. We have a wonderful opportunity this weekend for all of you to view one of their performances, and hopefully you're getting that opportunity. Or maybe you're kicking things off with a conversation tonight, so it'll give you some context for that incredible performance. This is a very exciting event for us. This is our third of the Backstage Pass programs. Kodo was actually supposed to be at the Lensic just a couple of weeks ago, was what their original performance date was. Obviously, that date has been postponed due to the pandemic. I have some good news, though, that they are rescheduled already to have a performance in March of 2023, which will be their next tour of the United States. Santa Fe, of course, has a long and deep appreciation and love for Kodo, and we are looking forward to having this incredible ensemble back at the Lensic when that time is right. But for the time being, it's really nice to just be able to have this connection and be able to touch base with these very dear performers to us. The color change, of course, in Santa Fe, we are still at the turquoise level, which does mean that large entertainment venues like the Lensic do have an opportunity for reopening. We are in that process right now of pulling together all of the policies and procedures and materials and things that are necessary to do that, including some programming. We do expect that we are going to have some things beginning at the Lensic in May. We have some renovation and other building work that was already scheduled for the first couple of weeks of that month. But we're looking forward to being able to bring some limited audiences back into the Lensic as soon as possible. We've really missed all of you during the quarantine process. I hope that you've been able to participate in some of the the online performance opportunities that we've had, including this performance with Kodo this weekend. The Lensic has also been deeply involved in continuing with its arts education programming. Before we left the pandemic, for the pandemic, we were actually at 18,000 school children in Santa Fe who were participating in arts education programs under our auspices. And I'm pleased to say that it looks like we're actually going to meet that number during the quarantine. So we have some ongoing things with the public schools, and we're happy that those things are continuing. The structure of tonight, I'm going to be doing a conversation with one of the members of Kodo. His name is Ryotaro Ikenaga. We'll bring him on in just a second. But if all of you who are watching, if any of you have any questions that you would like to contribute to tonight's conversation, please do so in the chat function on YouTube Live. We are going to be monitoring that, and then we'll be able to bring that conversation on to Leo and share your questions with him and get those answers as well. We have two more of these Backstage Pass programs that are forthcoming. The American Ballet Theater Studio Company will be with us on April 22nd, and a great conversation with their artistic staff, one of their choreographers and a performer. And then the amazing piano duo Piano Battle will be doing a performance on May 2. That performance will take place at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If you go to lensic.org, there's more information about both of those programs. And of course, for our supporters, will be sending you some additional information about both of those programs as we get closer. So thank you again for joining us. Remember to contribute questions in your chat function, and we'll get those included in there. But for the moment, I would love to introduce our special guest this evening. His name is Ryotaro Ikenaga. He has been a member of Kodo since starting as an apprentice in 2013 and joining as a member in 2016. Leo, if you want to start your camera up and we'll get a chance to say hello to you. This is Leo Ikenaga. Welcome, Leo. How are you?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Very, very happy to be here and talk to you about Kodo. Yeah.
That's very nice. It is actually now 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Where you are. And are you on Sado Island right now, Leo?
Yes, I am on Sado Island, and the weather is absolutely beautiful here. The cherry blossoms are in full bloom, and just nice day.
It sounds beautiful. And you said that this is a time that you're actually doing some clearing of trees
yes.
in your area.
Yeah. So we live on we have a village on this island called Kodo Village, and this is where we practice and rehearse and do all of our operations. We also have a forest, so we're in the process right now. Everyone is outside right now. I'm not sure what the correct term is, but deforesting, I guess.
Yeah, a little deforestation, thinning out your forest and making it a little
Yeah.
healthier.
Yeah, that's what we're doing today. And so I was doing that for the past couple of hours. And so I've gotten I've left the, left
Right,
the
you're
team.
getting a little
And
break.
yes, I am.
That's very
Much
good.
needed
And
one.
I am sure that's very busy work. But if there's anything that we've learned is that when it comes to physicality, Kodo goes all in.
Yes.
Correct. So now, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? You are from the United States originally, but you have an amazing story on how you found your way to Kodo. And would you be willing to tell everybody a little bit about that journey for you?
Of course. So my name is Ryotaro Leo Ikenaga, and I am a Japanese American. I was born outside of Detroit, Michigan, and I grew up mostly in Scarsdale, New York. And then I moved back to Japan and went back to Cornell University as an undergrad and graduated in 2012. I've been always interested in music, so I've been classically trained. I started the piano when I was 2 and the cello when I was around 10. So I always loved music. And I started taiko drumming when I was in Cornell. So there's actually a collegiate group, a taiko drumming group in Cornell, and that's where I really started drumming. Uh, but the main reason why I became a Kodo member, or rather why I wanted to join, was the apprenticeship that they provided. Um, it's a 2-year apprenticeship where you have no access to all these basic civilization items. Like you don't have smartphones, there's no internet, there's no like central heating, there's no television, and you spend 2 years just focusing on your craft. You harvest your own rice. You wake up at 5 in the morning and run every day. It's a very, very rigorous and kind of self-cleansing program. And I wanted to do that because I felt I wanted to do something in my life that I can only do once. And I really wanted to challenge myself to do something like that. Before that, I was an economics major, so I was interning at a lot of finance companies and trading floors and banks, and which was great. But I felt that I wanted to contribute a little more to the world in terms of in a more spiritual and kind of impactful way. And because I loved music so much, I felt that the program Kodo offered in 2 years, if all goes well, you get to travel around the world with this, A-class music production, a music company, and you get to travel and visit all these places, like the Lensic Center, and so I really wanted to do that, and I haven't looked back since. It's been quite the journey.
This sounds like this was a very significant decision for you, and two very different courses in life.
Yes.
It's quite an amazing opportunity for you. So, obviously the life that you have there is very different. You talk about the busyness of the tree clearing today and all of these other things. So what is a normal day like for you on Sado Island?
Usually we have practice from 9 a.m. And pre-pandemic times, we would have practice until 10, so 9 to 10 p.m. So that's 13 hours, I think, a day. Now it's reduced to 8 p.m., so a little over 10 hours, and with lunch breaks in between, obviously. Most of the time on the island, we're practicing, we're creating new songs, new productions, preparing for tours. But ever since the pandemic hit, we've been branching out and doing all these different things, like creating new digital content or providing music for various entities. I learned how to actually do recording and mix engineering. So I'm actually in the studio right now, and we can record by ourselves. All the performers know how to do it. We edit videos by ourselves. So we do a lot of different things right now. And it's a silver lining, but it's a very exciting time because we're doing so many different things. But as we are approaching normalcy right now, we're trying to balance all these different things out. You know, we still have to practice every day for a lot. You know, normally we practice close to 10 hours a day. But
sounds like a very busy life.
It is, but we're blessed to be able to do this in these turbulent times, and we're just having a lot of fun. Everyone is surprisingly optimistic, and you know, no one has their head down, even during these times. And it's you know, you realize how blessed you are to be able to devote everything into your craft and what we do, you know, arts and music. It's been a time where we have to think about how we can help the world, especially because we can't tour. You know, obviously our tour to the States was canceled. It's been a time to kind of think over what we are and what our mission is. And but yeah, I've kind of went off track, but
no, that's I think it's you know, for arts organizations, it's been a very introspective time. You know, and you know, particularly without having the audience reaffirmation, you know, that you do look at what it is that you're doing. And you know, I would also say from a venue standpoint, that you know, there's what we are missing the most is the sense of the community that comes with it, that comes with live performance. And you know, that when you're in a room with people, and that in the room with the artist and experiencing that it has a much different feel than when you're watching something on a screen.
Definitely.
And definitely missing that piece, and being with your friends and neighbors and sharing something like that.
We really do miss performing in front of a live audience. We've started a little bit, but nothing beats, you know, that feeling of being in the same shared space with the audience. And you know, I'm really grateful that we have opportunities such as this to be able to keep these connections. And then hopefully in 2023 we get to go back and perform for you guys live. You know, Santa Fe is I'm starting to remember now. I think there's a burger stand next to the Lensic. There is, right? Yeah.
Very nice.
Yes, I think we had a day off, and I got to enjoy. And if you keep going that main road, there's a big park, I think.
Yep.
And
our plaza downtown, I'm sure is what you're thinking of there, and the rail yard and things. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just a beautiful city. And so we have so many memories from, you know, our tours, and every time we go back, it's just this great feeling, you know, and I can't wait to go back.
Yeah. So now this is Kodo's 40th anniversary year. Is that right?
Yes.
And so can you tell a little bit about what the genesis was of forming this group, and you know, at this point, 40 years in, and maybe a little bit about, you know, what its place is in Japanese culture right now.
So Kodo, before Kodo became Kodo, we had an antecedent group called Sado no Kuni Ondekoza, which was a group that was formed out of this idea of trying to create a place for cultural learning, a place to preserve like Japanese culture and all these elements that were kind of getting forgotten during the economic boom in the 1960s and 70s. So the origins were that group, but Kodo kind of became its own group as a performing arts group 40 years ago. And ever since, we've been kind of the front runner of Japanese taiko ensemble. And what we do is we try to create, we still carry on that spirit of trying to preserve and promote Japanese traditional culture. But what we're focused on is to kind of recreate and reinterpret these things and create new expressions and new ways of artistic style. And for 40 years, we've been kind of doing that. And right now, we, as I kind of mentioned earlier, in these different in these changing times, we're trying to branch out into all these different, digital mediums, and we're trying to collaborate all these different artists from all over around the world. We're really, really open to doing all these different things with our drums. And because we believe that, this is a little cheesy, but we really believe in the power of our drums, and we believe in power of performing arts and music. And, it might be a small step, but we really think it can change the world and bring people together. And we travel under the name One Earth because we really believe that, we all share the same identity, no matter who you are, where you come from. And we just try to keep on doing that. I'm not sure if that was like
no, that's the perfect answer. And so I first of all want to jump in with one of the questions that we have from a viewer at home, and that is, when the Tokyo Olympics come, does Kodo have a place in a ceremony, in an opening or a closing ceremony?
I can't really say for now.
Okay.
For many different reasons, not to get your hopes up, but the Olympics still we're still not sure how it's going to happen.
Sure.
That would be my honest answer. So I can't really say for now.
Okay, that is an excellent answer, and there's a bit of a non-answer in there, but it's perfect. And I appreciate that. Well, we certainly hope that you do. It would be a great place to showcase you. And what you mentioned about the unifying sense of the drum, when Kodo was last here, and that was in 2017.
Yes.
We had a workshop at the Santa Fe Indian School, which we were talking about before, is still one of my favorite arts education memories ever. Some members of Kodo, young native drummers on their drums. You brought a few of the taiko drums with you, and there was a drumming workshop that was almost 2 hours, and shared very little language, but was the most unifying experience I've ever had. So it sounds like what you experience, as you're touring the world, is these immediate senses of connection, because rhythm is very uniting. It's something that everyone shares.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, our name Kodo means children of the drum, but it has a double meaning, as in Kodo, which means heartbeat in Japanese. And, the sound of our big drum is close to what we hear in our mother's womb, that heartbeat. So we all have this shared memory of the drum. Every culture has a drum, and you can really feel it when you travel around the world. I mean, we travel, close to 9 months of the year, all over Japan and all over the world. And, it doesn't matter where you are, everyone can really relate to what we do. And, whenever we do workshops such as those, especially with children, it's you really feel this sense that, this is what we're doing this for,
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit, and this is also tying in a question that we have from another viewer, a little bit about how the drums are made and some of their history. It's these instruments are, and the tradition is 1,500 years old or so.
Yes. Well, the history of the taiko drum itself is very old. you mentioned 1500, but I mean, if you talk
I'm
about drums, it's probably older.
I'm sure I found it on Wikipedia, and it can't be
Yeah,
true.
yeah. But they were originally used in religious ceremonies, with both Buddhist and Shinto traditions, and they've been part of kind of this Japanese village. You know, they'd signal things with a drum, or all these ceremonies or battles. But as an instrument, it's quite new. I would say for 50, 60 years, that it's been used as a performing arts. So the tradition of taiko as a performing art is relatively new, but the taiko drum itself is so deeply rooted into Japanese culture and the hearts of Japanese people. It's something that feels very familiar. And in terms of how the drums are made, there are different types of drums, but generally they're made out of skinned cowhide or horse hide, and with hollowed out tree trunks. Some of them like very, very old trees to relatively new ones that are stitched together. So there's a really wide variety. Just like I mentioned, the art form as a performing art is relatively new. There's always room for improvement. So we've actually made new types of taiko drums. Kodo has created new drums to kind of fit the stage. So we also worked with a company called Roland and created a new electric taiko as well recently. Wow. So there's quite a lot of different types of drums and room for improvement.
That sounds great. And there's also am I right that there's sort of that there's a mythological origin of taiko in Japanese folklore?
Yeah. So in Japanese mythology, the taiko comes out quite often. I'm not sure what the mark is called in English, but the tomoe mark, there's a kind of distinctive design on the drums with these three black kind of circles. That's a very kind of Japanese, that's a reference to Japanese mythology, where kind of the sun god, it's related to the kind of sun god, which is said to be the origin of Japan. So it's related a little bit. But and we do kind of we've done productions that kind of that tell that story of Japanese mythology. So it is something that's connected with what we do.
That's great. So the video that our patrons are watching right now is from the 2020 Earth celebration.
Yes.
And for those who have seen and those who have not, can you tell a little bit about what the Earth celebration is and what that means as a part of your performance here?
Yeah, so Earth Celebration is a festival that is held on our home island of Sado for close to 35 years. And it's this festival where we kind of invite all these different artists from all over the world who we met on our travels, and we invite people from all over the world as an audience. And just as the name suggests, it's a celebration of of Earth, of being together, of all these cultures mixing together, and everyone enjoying themselves. And unfortunately, last year, due to the pandemic, we could not host the Earth celebration in Sado Island with an audience. So we had to do everything online. And so the performance that you're viewing is an excerpt from that. But it's probably the first performance that we did as a group since the pandemic hit.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a special place in our hearts as well. And we're thrilled that people from all over the world get to see it. And people in Santa Fe, the Lensic Center, get to see it. Our hope is that people can kind of feel that One Earth feeling
Mm-hmm.
from that performance. It's a beautiful park in our home island, just like a 15-minute drive from where I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, yeah, you get to enjoy it.
We definitely will. Absolutely. So a little bit about we talked a bit about some of the education programs and things that happened when you were in Santa Fe. Are you engaged with, is taiko something that's taught in the Japanese schools? Are you also doing a lot of outreach with students as a part of your, sort of continuing some of the history and the tradition of this, and also, looking for, I imagine, looking for some future performers as well?
We are doing. Usually, we do a lot of school performances within Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And we have started doing those, started going back to them right now. And we are experimenting with doing online workshops and online teaching as an alternative method. But as you are aware, due to the pandemic, it's very hard for us to visit these places wherever we go. Our hope is that we get to do these more in the future, especially in tours overseas. I think, as you mentioned, you don't need to worry about the language barrier that much with the drums, especially with children. And wherever we do these workshops, whether it's in Paris or Santa Fe or Sao Paulo, everyone has fun. And I think it's a very, very important part of what we do. And hopefully we'll get to do more. And, hopefully we'll get to scout some hopefuls into our troop as well. Yeah, definitely looking forward to doing it next time we visit in 2023.
Good. So, and we had another question from one of the viewers that goes back to the Earth celebration. Is there planning underway for a 2021 Earth celebration?
Yes.
And what is that looking like?
So we are definitely going to have a Earth celebration 2021 on the island. What the capacity and all those details are still being hashed out right now. Obviously, we have to take a lot of safety precautions, and there are a lot of regulations that we need to consider. And we are also considering doing something, having an online aspect of the Earth celebration, so people who can't visit the island get to be a part of it. We are still working the details out, but hopefully something will come out very soon.
Good. How many performers are there? Or what is the makeup of the Kodo organization look like? How many performers, and what other sort of support staff and people are with you on your daily basis?
I forget the exact number of performers, but I think there are about 34 performing members in Kodo, who are, roughly speaking, split into 3 groups. So one group does the big tours, like we go overseas or we travel domestically to all these big auditoriums. And there's another team that goes to schools and does school performances and workshops. And there's another team that does kind of smaller team, like they do like events, like single shows or big like Olympic stadium related stuff, or all these like different kind of events. So generally we're split into 3, and we have quite a few staff members. I don't know how many, but I'd say about 20. And we also have a team. We also have a different kind of entity that does workshops and runs the workshop center on Sado Island. We also have a team that runs the apprentice center. And we also have a record label by ourselves. So we are actually quite a big organization.
It is.
Yeah. But on a normal tour, we travel around, our traveling party will be around 20 people. And that's how we travel. You know, usually North America would be around 20 people and traveling for, 2.5 months.
That's quite a long time on the road.
Yes.
So you began your apprenticeship program when you're in your early 20s, I'm guessing, right?
Yes.
And became a part of the ensemble mid 20s. What is a turnover like among the performing class of the Kodo organization, and what does that performance career look like for your group?
So I should probably explain the selection process first.
That'd be great. Yes.
So I mentioned earlier that the apprenticeship is for 2 years, but to become an apprentice, there's a selection process, and then from your first year apprenticeship to your second year apprenticeship, there's also a selection process. So people get cut there, and from second year to junior member, there's a very rigorous selection process. And so even if you do the 2 years, not everyone becomes a Kodo member. So in fact, last year we did not have anyone make it to the troupe. The year before that, we had one person. So it's quite a selective process. Usually there are 20 apprentices at one time. So not everyone gets to make it. And even if you become a junior member, you have to become a full-time member. So junior members basically travel with us and do everything the same with us. And they get to experience the Kodo lifestyle, and we evaluate them firsthand. And if you need to get selected there as well. So first of all, getting into Kodo is quite the process. And once you do make it, there are close to over 30 members. So, and there are a limited amount of parts available for people. So there's competition, I guess, for these parts. And it depends on the person on how long they stay. There are people but I would say the trend is there are bunch of people who leave within the first or second year. And then there are people who leave after about 10 years. And then there are people who stay for life.
Wow.
So our oldest member is 60, I want to say 67. And our youngest member is 21. So quite the age range. And I would say the average age right now is somewhere around 26 or 7. And so we do have a lot of young people in the troupe right now. And I have a feeling people are going to stick around for a while. But it is a very rigorous lifestyle, very competitive. We're all very, very, very tight, and we're all like family. But there is definitely a competitive side. So there is a little bit of turnover.
Yeah. Well, this and the next question is not one that came from a chat, but was from a patron that I saw the other day, and they were curious. Speaking of family, do the members have families as well?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So there are families living on the island, and
yeah. Well, not people who have families. Excuse me. Yeah, we have families on the island, but we can we're able to do this because we have their support.
Right.
You know, because we're on the road so much. So if you have children, you know, you need the full support of your family and your significant other to be
Right.
able to do it. But as I said, we are kind of a village,
Mhm.
so it's kind of the cool part of Kodo is everyone helps out. So we have, you know, we're, you know, working, cutting down timber right now and doing all
Right.
these things right now, but there are kids running around outside as well, and everyone kind of takes care of each other. So, you know, we have this really great support system.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, um, tell me, you've mentioned that during the pandemic, the number of rehearsal hours
Hmm.
was decreased.
Yes.
How else has the ensemble and the organization fared through this, and what else, you've obviously been able to continue to rehearse and do things. I hope everyone has been healthy throughout all of this too.
Yes, we're all healthy. um, but wow, it's been a year actually. So I think the pandemic happened just about a year ago, and
Yeah.
everything had to be shut down. So I was on the Europe tour, so we had to come back and cancel all our shows. And until October, no, November last year, I don't think we had any performances in front of a live audience. So it was a very difficult time for all of us, a very introspective time. But at the same time, we got to do all these different things. And we were able to kind of survive due to the generous support from our fans. And we got so many donations and support, both federally and from, privately from all these fans. And I'm sorry. Yeah, it was, we were, when I'm not, it's really hard to put into words what this past year has been. Um, but I would say that, you know, this is not answering your question. I'm just blabbering, but I would never forget the moment that we were able to stand in front of a live audience. That was just something that I
Mhm.
would never forget in my life. And it's yeah, it's been a rough year, but
I think
Mhm.
I'm going to say the emotion that we see on your face is very reflective.
Yeah.
I think of a lot of people's experiences that
Mhm.
it's been survivable, but it's been missing
Yes.
a lot of
Mm.
things.
But I do say this, and I do realize that we are so privileged to be able to do this in these times of turbulence. You know, without the support of our fans, we are really nothing. Because there are so many people who are waiting for us all over the world, we're able to continue what we do, and we've always been grateful for that. But this year, it's a realization of how much we are privileged to be able to do this, and our we in return, we're gonna have to do everything that we can to bring our sound to everyone that's waiting for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that everyone is going to be excited to see you and have that connection again when that time comes. I wanted to, we've got a little bit more time so if there are any more questions from the audience at home, this would be great. And then we're gonna let Leo get back to clearing trees and stocking up firewood for the coming year. We have one more question that just came in here, and that is, how does Kodo embrace spirituality in the performance and practice? And are there clear influences from Shinto and Buddhism?
Hmm, so that's very difficult question. I think there are many different aspects to spirituality. Because we don't have a conductor, we have to all be on the same wavelength. So we do really value kind of this togetherness and close-knitness of our group. We believe in helping out each other. And so in terms of that spirituality, we really, really, really care about that over skill. We care about how people work together. But in terms of kind of religious and spiritual things, we try to, whenever we incorporate something that is religious or traditional or something that's cultural, we try to study that art form by going to where it originated. We try to, we do all the research we can and make sure we don't just simply take something out of context. So we do travel quite often to these places, and we try to take part in those festivals and talk to the local people. And so in terms of that, we try to keep that spirit alive whenever we do these performances. And it might not always be religious, but we really, really, really try to make sure that the people who care about this traditional form are content with what we do. And we, always try to be respectful. Yeah.
It's very good. Very good. And one more question from the audience. You said that you were doing some recording. Is there a date in which you're going to be releasing some new music?
We have released a kind of experimental album, which incorporates kind of things other than drums. I want to say last summer or last fall, but we are planning to release a new kind of best album of our current works on stage. Hopefully that will be available digitally on streaming platforms within the year. But we are also planning to stream our performance, our 90-minute performance split into 3 on digital platforms, on streaming platforms. We are still, we don't have a release date, but you should be able to watch us perform our whole 90-minute performance in the coming weeks, I'm hoping. So if you can follow us on our social media platforms, we'll try to get the word out.
That's a great idea to do regardless. I hope that everyone will follow and support Kodo through this time too. I think that's all the questions that we have right now tonight, Leo, and I want to make sure that you get back to some wood chopping and all of those things. I really appreciate your time, and we've missed you this past year, but it's nice to have some things to look forward to, and it's always good to know that Kodo will be back in our city. And when you're here, Leo, I promise the burgers and fries are on me, okay?
Thank you.
We're going to take good care of you. But thank you again for your time, and for everyone in the organization for your support and for delivering such a great bit of entertainment. And for the audience that's watching, if you have not had a chance to watch the video that is available to this weekend from Kodo with the Earth celebration, I hope that you'll enjoy that and maybe bring some additional context to that performance from our conversation tonight. And earmark your calendars for March of 23. And Leo, thank you again for your time, and continued good health to you and to everyone there. And we'll look forward to seeing you hopefully in person soon.
Likewise. Thank you so much. This was absolutely a delight. Thank you.
It was indeed. Thank you so much. And thank you again to everyone at home. And we look forward to seeing you in person soon too. Great. Have a good night.
All right. Good night.
Bye.